It wasn't until June of 1870 that Christmas became a federal holiday. They, when I say why they gave us Christmas, who is they? The pagans, who are void of spirituality, gave us Christmas and Easter. And the reason why they gave it to us, I'll tell you again, so that we who are spiritual by nature would adopt their ways and desire a fabrication to be our reality. Look at the person next to you and say, anytime you long for a lie to be your reality, you are suffering from mental illness. And I'm glad you said that, Shirley. Shirley said, you're crazy. Because see, the problem with mental illness doesn't necessarily mean that you're crazy. Follow how this goes.
Santa Claus is another good example of a pagan element of Christmas. Santa Claus, as we know him today, is an amalgamation of several different traditions, but in most cultures throughout the world, you will find the existence of what is known as hearth gods. Gods who guard the hearth and the chimney and keep the fires burning and make sure the food cooks properly and the people are warm and what have you. And at a certain time of year, in the middle of winter, typically, the hearth god dressed in red will come down the chimney to reward those who have pleased him during the course of the previous year, and to lay curses or hexes or other forms of punishment upon people who have displeased him.
The concept of Santa Claus has had a long and winding history, with a number of diverse cultures contributing to the composite character we have today. Beginning once again in Scandinavia, Santa's original incarnation was in the form of Odin, the pagan god of thunder, a tall fellow with a long flowing beard who inhabited the spirit-infested Nordic forests. Odin would travel the sky during the winter solstice, deciding who would die and who would prosper. Most believers were frightened of this particular time of year. In England, Odin eventually evolved into Father Christmas, who, crowned with sprigs of holly, travelled the countryside getting roaring drunk as part of the Festival of Fools celebration. Frequently he would be accompanied by a horned goat, ironically the biblical symbol of those who reject the salvation of Jesus Christ. According to the traditions of the Church of Rome, there was a Turkish bishop named Nicholas who hailed from Myra in Asia Minor during the 4th century. He was known as the patron saint of seafaring men. Over the centuries, as the legend began to unfold, it was rumored that St. Nicholas had actually captured the devil himself, put him in chains, and made him his personal servant. Recognized in various cultures as Krampus, Beelzebub, or Zwart Piet, Black Peter, this assistant of St. Nicholas is best known by his German name, Knecht Ruprecht. Described as a hideous horned creature, the servant Ruprecht was a dark and sinister figure who stood in stark contrast to the saintly Nicholas. Somehow Father Christmas's companion, the horned goat, had metamorphosized into the foreboding horned devil called Ruprecht. As St. Nicholas traveled from house to house, inquiring about the behavior of children, Ruprecht would drop candy and gifts down the chimney into the good children's shoes which had been placed there. It was from this story that we get our tradition of hanging stockings on the mantle at Christmas time. If able to recite a verse or demonstrate a skill for St. Nicholas, the child would receive a gift. If unable to remember a verse, or if the child had been bad, he or she would receive a switch or a whip. Ruprecht also carried a large sack which he would frequently
I really must go now. But now, I want you to remember to stay good boys and girls. Respect your mothers and fathers and do what they tell you. Obey your teachers and learn a whole lot. Now, if you do this, I'll make sure you get good presents from me every year. But if you're bad boys and girls, your name goes in the bad boys and girls book. And I'll bring you something horrible.
Eventually, Necht Ruprecht was made the companion and servant to the Christ child himself. In this scenario, the devil is actually given the title Weihnachtsmann, or Santa Claus. 19th century writer Theodor Storm, in his story about Necht Ruprecht, even goes so far as to describe the switches given to the children by Ruprecht as tools to be used in sadomasochistic rituals. Soon, the image of Ruprecht would fade from the Christmas tradition, but not his sadistic influence. Many of the early depictions of Santa Claus portrayed him not as a jolly gift giver, but of an unfriendly disciplinarian complete with a ready switch.
A lot of people who are suffering from this psychological impairment are wearing robes. Standing in the position I'm standing in now as a teacher. Perpetuating this psychological impairment on the masses. They don't believe it themselves. Brothers and sisters, as I close, I plead with you, and I plead with you today with a certain sense of excitement, because I'm beginning to see more and more the resurrecting of minds that have suffered from psychological impairment. I see people being healed because they're beginning to use their African minds and experiencing freedom, or they're freeing the dome. Yes, sir. So my closing plea to you is, let us forsake these anti-spiritual practices. Let us forsake these anti-African practices. Let us forsake these unholy pagan practices. Please, let us forsake these Euro-Gentile practices and redeem our African selves. Please, let's do that. In the name of God, in the name of our ancestors, and for the sake of our children. Parents, don't let the children dictate to you what you should be doing. Well, mommy, can I have a tree? Everybody else got one. Mommy, can we do this? Can I get a Halloween costume? Can I go Easter egg hunting? See, y'all, we live in a different society now. I'm hearing too many parents ask the children, what do you want to do? I ain't know nothing about that when I was growing up. I don't ever remember Eileen Gilmore asking me, what do you want to do? She ain't never asked me no stuff like that. Even after I became well in my teens, she didn't ask me no stuff like that. Now children who are not prepared to even make wise decisions are being offered choices by parents because you want to be a friend more than you want to be a parent. God didn't call you to be a friend to your child. God gave you that gift for you to be a parent to that child and prepare them for adulthood.